various people across the grand and mighty spectrums of time and indeed the multiverse. I am the horrible, pubescent pile of grossness that is Alexander Gordon Johans, and today we are going to be talking about autism. Now, the thing is that autism is a spectrum disorder, right? And what that means is that basically everything you know about autism is wrong. And it is always wrong. Because knowing about autism is like knowing about humans, right? You can know all the history and all the politics and all the fandoms and all the culture. It won't help you a damn thing to understand a person, because a person has their own unique experience of all these different things, right? Autism is, by its very definition, a condition that is very personal, right? There are similarities, there are overlapping themes to it, but no one person of autism is entirely like another person with autism, right? That's just not how it works. So if you've grown up being told, being treated with like you have got autism, it can be as screwy as growing up being treated like you've got, you know, say bipolar when you don't. It's that kind of... I was in deep denial about having autism for a long time because, to be perfectly, you know, frank, I didn't have the version of autism the people around me kept telling me I had. It's like I don't actually have a problem with, you know, fidgeting. It's not my sort of thing. I don't have a problem with change. I'm not order focused the way some people are. Okay, like there are so many things about autism that I just don't have. You know, the whole thing about, you know, not looking people in the eyes. I don't have that. I kind of have the opposite thing, whereby I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to look you in the eyes, am I? So I just stare into your eyes, just forever, just staring deep into your soul. Because this is totally not creepy, right? Totally not creepy. You know, this is the thing. I'm more like, you know, an alien who has to learn these, you know, different human customs. But once I've learned them, I'm okay with it. I've got them down, right? It's just I needed someone to kind of tell me, hey, you know, kind of fucking weird to open the door with your head, right? And I was just like, fuck it, I'm knackered. It's a push door. Why am I gonna raise my head when I could just go boop? Right? That's genuinely a thing I did as a kid. I would just, you know, walk through doors, just head first, head-butting them out of the way, because fuck it. Why not? Why do all these, you know, boring, normal stuff of... And it's because if you don't, then people are like, kill the witch! Kill it with fire now! It's opening doors with its head! Kill it! Humanity is so discriminatory and so scared of everything, right? So, yeah, I kind of was in deep denial about having autism for a long time because I basically needed the people who told me I had autism to shut the fuck up, right? Because the moment you stop telling me I have this particular kind of autism you've got in your head, then I can actually look at the world and sort of piece together. It is very odd trying to kind of... I am not a fan of self-diagnosis, but the thing is, autism is so unique in the way that, so many people are diagnosed with it, and yet it is always so unique to that person with autism, right? That you kind of have to come to your own self-diagnosis anyway. Like, yeah, absolutely, I am entirely of the belief that, you need to go to a doctor to get diagnosed, right? I am, fully on the science train of, like, trust the people with the qualifications, Some of them are morons, but, like, they know their shit. You don't. But at the same time, you do kind of need to come to your own understanding and realization of what you've got. Because it is so easy for a neurotypical outsider with a tick list to say, this, see? And that's actually why I was in denial about it for a long time, because I'm just like, well, these are normal, right? And the thing is, what they're doing is they're diagnosing symptoms, right? Because that's all I can do. Because autism is essentially this great term for all these different things that just humanity, neurotypical humanity, can't quite grapple with. Like, we understand bipolar, we understand depression. Like, we don't understand multiple personality disorder, but at least we've got a decent, like, pigeonhole of, like, this is what it is, right? We have all of these things of, like, yes, this is a thing. We can conceptualize it and understand it, and we can help people with it, right? When it comes to autism, we just have a whole load of different people with very different kind of conditions, and they're all crapped upon in similar ways. And so almost autism is kind of just the neurotypical people can't understand you and you need help diagnosis, right? It's like, it's just, you're weird, we don't know what to do, fuck diagnosis, okay? And I'm not saying that in a sort of, oh, if you're autistic, you're weird and you're fucked. I'm saying it in the sense of, like, humanity, stupid apes, do not get it, right? It's a case of, all these, people who are so super smart and so super clever going, but he doesn't abide by our stupid ass rules. How does person think independently? How does person not need to do all the stupid bullshit we do? What the fuck is wrong? And don't get me wrong, like, I'm at the mild end of the spectrum, so I'm being, told, yes, oh, you stupid neurotypical people, yeah. But there are absolutely people who are at, the farther end of the autistic spectrum, and, like, they hate their lives because they are so sensitive that, like, they can't eat anything except for very particular kinds of foods because their body just rejects it. It's not just a mental thing, it is like a physical thing of just, their body is just like, no, wrong, fucking wrong, no, not good. And so there are definitely people on the autistic spectrum who have horrible lives and who hate their conditions, and it's the autistic spectrum is like the X-Men in the sense that, there are absolutely some of us like me who are like, how dare you say that, there'd be a cure for autism? We don't need a cure, we're perfect! And meanwhile, there are autistic people who are, eating the same food day after day, who can't leave the house, whose brains lock up, and they're just like, I just want to be normal, fuck you! You know? It's Storm going up to Rogue saying, shut up, we're perfect! As, you know, Rogue's like, I killed my boyfriend with my touch, what the fuck, you know? I mean, to be perfectly clear, autistic people are not going to drain your life energy until you die. We are not vampires or succubi. Okay. Or indeed incubi. We are not that. I'm just saying that it is very much that kind of X-Men parallel of like, you have such a broad spectrum that some people are like, this is horrible! Cure me! And some people are like me and just going, no, fuck the neurotypicals, fuck them all, they're just bloody bigoted bastards. But I think I'm going to stop this now because this has been a rather lengthy intro. So I'm going to stop to allow the video to render quicker, and I will come back in a moment to do the actual video proper, which is discussing what I have found to be the case of autism for me and my actual understanding of it now. Because I've made a couple of videos on autism now, and I think this is the first time that I'm really prepared to kind of explain what about autism bothers me as someone with it. Okay. So, for me, autism all comes down to essentially a kind of hypersensitivity. And I don't have it to the same extent of some people further along the spectrum, but it is enough that it alters my patterns and behaviors. Now, obviously, I've got this compounded by Kalman syndrome and GHD, which means that, and also possible sleep apnea. So, yeah, no, I'm tired. I can't smell, and yeah, that's gonna affect things as well. But like, my sense of taste, insofar as I have a sense of taste, because obviously I can't smell, so it's all on the tongue, and texture, that's so much more enhanced. My sensitivity to temperature is enhanced, and my sort of emotional sensitivity, my essential empathy, is enhanced. And the thing is that when you live with like your emotional sensitivity turned up to 11 all the damn time, or even turned up to, you know, 8 all the damn time, then it makes you separate it makes you separate your emotions from your actions, right? Because it's the whole thing with like the Vulcans and Star Trek. You know, the Vulcans are an incredibly cold, logical race, because if they don't do that, then they are almost broken by how emotionally driven they are. You know, I am someone who feels a lot of anger, a lot of rage, a lot of hurt, a lot of sadness. I am someone who feels things very, very deeply. And because of that, I, as a kid, had to learn to separate my emotions from the way I acted in the world, you know. Other people who are neurotypical don't do this, and so they they kind of, a neurotypical person looks at me and they don't understand me, because on the one hand, you know, they are very emotional at times when I'm just like, you know what, emotion isn't useful here. I'm gonna put it aside. But at the same time, when I'm tired, when I'm stressed out, when I'm at the end of my tether, if I'm distracted, if I'm busy, you know, in the moments when I can't concentrate on portraying on acting for other people, then people are shocked by how utterly emotive I am, right? And it's like, you know, I think of myself as a very shy person, in the sense that, you know, I feel very awkward around other people, and I don't know what to say. I don't feel comfortable unless there is a cultural touchstone, unless there is something we can talk about, have debates about, that doesn't really matter, like Doctor Who. The reason I feel safe talking about Doctor Who is that I can equally rip the piss into it and talk about how I love it. I can talk about all the different facets of it, even if I don't directly have experience of it, right? I feel comfortable having a kind of emotional center ground within, to anchor conversations, a sort of contextual waypoint for social situations. Um, I think of myself as a very shy person, and yet obviously I'm this, you know, 6 foot tall, big, brash guy who's very loud. And essentially the reason for that is, it's, you know, the best defense is a good offense, right? Um, the best way to ensure people don't talk to you is if you go up to them and say, hello, hello, yes, I'm Alexander Gordon, very, very good to see you. I mean, I'm not that over the top, but, you know, I am so awkward in front of other people that the only way I can really cope is by putting on this act, by kind of putting on this, you know, human suit of just like, this is what people do in public, when they talk to people, you know. I am always putting on some kind of, you know, persona or character, and I suppose it helps really that I have glasses, in that it allows me to kind of be distanced from my own body, in a sense, because it's, you know, when I was picking out these glasses, you know, my mother was, you know, because she was paying it for them because I'm broke, she was saying, why don't you go for something more stylish and more fashionable? And I'm like, no, these glasses, these are my eyes, these are how I see the world, you know. They are meant to be a fashion statement, they're meant to be something that I like enough, but that people can just ignore, because I don't want anybody to have any opinions on my eyes, right? My eyes are a part of my body, and like, I don't want people to feel strongly one way or another about it. You know, I want people to be paying attention to my thoughts and my actions, not to, oh, your glasses. Um, but at the same time, they are separate from me, right? These are a part of my body, they are a part of who I am, they are a part of how I am to the outside world, and yet they are a lens. They are a lens and they are a screen. They are a way to be at one in the world and yet distance. It's the same way that, like, the you know, cameramen and stuff like that can feel distanced and objective, and maintain their sanity in very tense situations. You know, I am constantly looking at the world at a distance. I am constantly looking at it through a frame and a filter. and I am constantly interacting with people, constantly interacting with the world through a different presentation, right? And it's like, I am incredibly honest, and I do not care about about the private details of my life, because frankly, as far as I'm concerned, the only person who is going to feel discomforted or embarrassed by it is you, right? If you decide to, look up the details of, the Kalman syndrome, if you decide to watch these videos where I'm incredibly honest about these things, that's your prerogative, that it, the effects it causes you, right? The fact that you think the things I say cause you to feel certain ways and think certain things about me is not my problem, that's your problem. And you can come to me after having watched my videos and you can scream in my face. I mean, please don't, but you could do that theoretically, conceptually. People have done that through the, the comments. They have watched my videos and gone, ah ha ha, ah, see, you're different, you're weird, I'm going to take the piss out of you. And it's like, why does that bother me? The fact that you are so fucked up by society that you will watch a video voluntarily and then be offended at what you saw in it. Like, no, that's your problem, right? You decided, oh, I'm going to pick up the Necronomicon, the book that will summon Lovecraftian entities, and then you're surprised when Lovecraftian entities eat your face off. Like, no, you had the choice to not read the fucking book. Don't come to the people who make the book saying, your book wrecked my face off. Yeah. You shouldn't have fucking read it then. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying my, videos are literally summoning Lovecraftian monsters. My writing does feature Lovecraftian monsters, but that's not the same thing. What matters to you doesn't matter to me. And I will cater myself to the people I care about, to the people I'm speaking to, and that's, I mean, kind of everybody does it. Every, neurotypical people do it all the time. It's just they call it manners and politeness and social skills, right? Whereas for me, it's, it's what people do, and that's what I do. It's just that I suppose this is why when I read, the Virgin New Adventures, and I watched, I watched the Stephen Moffat era of Doctor Who, I'm like, other people are emphasizing, are feeling, like the human companions are the audience surrogate. For me, it's the Doctor, because the Doctor is this alien who looks human but isn't human, and he has got so much self-loathing, but he is aware that, he's with people and people don't like to see him upset. So he puts on this human face and tries to fit in, and then you can just see the mask slip occasionally. And like, my favorite doctors are the manipulative doctors, because it's like, in a way, everything I do when I am trying to fit in is being manipulative, right? In the sense that me being myself, I don't care about anyone, because I just don't, right? Like, I have this extreme sensitivity and emotional connection to people, but because of that, I lock it away and I don't let it play a part. And that's why when it does play a part, that's why I suppose I kind of have to, again, filter my caring through this kind of, fetishistic, jokey layer of, like, because just straight up saying, no, like, I know we have barely spoken, but I just care this deeply for you because I have such deep feelings for people. Generally, like, that's not good, right? It, it feels much less awkward in a really fucked up kind of way to say, yeah, I want to take care of you and keep you as a pet because it's my fetish, than to say, you know, I care for you like a pet because, like a pet, I would fight and die for you and you are important. Like, it's. And then, again, contextual touchstones and what have you, but it is so odd when you are this duality of, like, at once caring so very, very much about people all the time, like, to where I genuinely will get upset thinking about, how the people who stalk me and hate me are gonna get their asses kicked, right? I will get genuinely upset that the people who send me death threats are going to fucking suffer in the years to come, right? Because, I give a shit about people, right? And I have all this intense feeling, but at the same time, I have to lock it away, and I do lock it away. And so I look at the world through this cold filter of pragmatism and greed, and just like, but what do you do for me? Because I can't do what neurotypical people do and be truly altruistic and empathetic. Like, I have these rules because I need a logical, relatively object way of saying what I should or should not do, because I can't afford to act on emotion, because that way madness lies. Like, I forbid myself. I consider revenge as one of those things that you don't fucking do. And it's why I'm against capital punishment. Oh, well, there are many reasons I'm against capital punishment. Lots of, cold, logical reasons as well. But, like, I am against revenge, partly for all these cold, logical reasons, but also just because I am fully aware that there is a part of me that is just bubbling rage and is just like, if you left me alone in a locked room for eternity with one of these fucking commenters, I have all these rules, I have all this cold pragmatism, I have all these morals, I have all these things that all these neurotypical people rage at me for. Rage! How dare I be different? How dare I be different? And they don't understand it's because of this duality. And at the same time, right, this is why I'm kind of a little bit hipster, right? I've realized this extends to it as well. Like, I don't do classics, right? If it is something that's really popular, something that I'm supposed to like, no, keep me the fuck away from that. I have to be a little bit unpopular, a little bit uncool. I have to not play the validation game. I have to actively piss people off just a little bit. Because if I try to play the validation game. I'm consciously and unconsciously trying to counteract this emotional super sensitivity and empathy, and this is actually why it's kind of dangerous for me to get too close to people or to spend too much time talking to people. This is why I must be distanced and detached and keep everyone at arm's length, because I am always an act in front of other people, because I am always trying to subtly manipulate how I do things so that I please people, because I have to consciously do social skills, which means that I can't instinctually, emotionally react as normal people do. I have to coldly say, this is what I want to do because my aims and objectives and whatever say this is what I should be doing. And so I can change myself and alter myself and adapt how I think and believe to fit what I think is right, and to fit with another person. And I can do this to fit with people who I care about. And I can do this to myself, and it can get scary. It can get fucking scary sometimes, of just like losing myself, losing my sense of perspective, and just feeling myself, feeling my brain start to work in sympathy with theirs, feeling my body sort of start to, you know, cater towards them, just, you know, in a sort of the passive way of just like, no, these are good people, I like them, and I don't want to make them unhappy, so yeah, maybe they're right about this, maybe they're right about that, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. And that's why I get so very like defensive of just like, no, we will come to compromises, but I cannot just do this for you. You have to convince me, you have to give me a good reason, because I can't go down that road. I can't just do these things because I like you and you like them, and I want to make you happy, because that way madness lies. That way things get problematic, because the thing is, I'm still me. I am always still me. And I suppose, you know, I'm constantly writing these, you know, stories about sylphs, and, you know, about men, you know, going around sort of, you know, seducing women into being their perfect playthings and being perfect for them. And, you know, part of that is, you know, fetishes, part of that, you know, is cultural programming from society, you know, saying this is what, you know, this is what you're supposed to like as a man, blah, 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 you know, whatever. But it's also, like, partly, I am aware, and I'm aware that in saying this, there is a certain kind of arsehole who is going to see weakness, right? And it's like, no, 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 fucker. I am not going to, I would not be saying this had I not already programmed in safeguards, right? It's like when you do a video talking about, so this is it's like when Tom Scott, you know, or the computer file people do a video talking about, you know, compromises, you know, in computer code, and someone, you know, maybe thinks, aha, I will hack into it, and it's like, no, no, like, if I'm talking about this, I've already got, you know, protections in place to, you know, calm your fucking tits, guys. You know, you can stop with the fucking masturbating. But there is an element to where when I write these stories about women being seduced into being, you know, this perfect fantasy, there is an element to where I am like that at times, and to where there is a part of me that kind of wants to feel safe enough with a person that I will let them do that to me, right? In the sense that I am someone who will shape themselves to the company I'm with, you know. And it's like I can be a different person for different people. I can be a very particular kind of person for a very particular kind of person if I care about them enough, if they matter to me enough, right? There is an element to where when I am writing those stories about, you know, about people being changed and enslaved to the will of another, that I'm like, yeah, that's how my emotions work. That's how I work. Like, if I like you, I will sync my, you know, my way of being to you. And I do have all these safeguards, and I do have this cold, logical, mental framework that I rely on, and I do have these morals and all these sort of cold, logical, objective things that I've kind of put in place. So it's almost like I'm a cyborg of like emotion and reason. You know, there is, you know, the biological, instinctual, just glom onto and adapt, and then there is the cold, logical artifice that keeps me going. But there is a part of me that is very much like, no, I could be that. I want to be that, and I would like to have someone I felt enough changing myself for. But equally, I'm still me. And there's gonna come a point where, you know, the programming is gonna come unstuck, right? It's like, you know, in the fiction, you know, the story ends with, you know, the girl having been seduced and you know, reaching the final destination of, you know, being collared and owned and in a cage or whatever, and it's like that's where the story ends. But it's like kind of, you know, my equivalent of that in real life, where I like find someone that I trust, that I feel like I can let myself let go and change and adapt to kind of be the best version of me I can be for them. Like, at a certain point, you know, the happily ever after comes unstuck, because, you know, the real me reasserts itself. And it's like that's almost the problem. That's almost why I don't do that. You know, it's not just I don't want to do this to myself. I don't want to let myself change who I am utterly for you. It's not just that kind of like, no, I must protect my agency. I must, you know, I can't do this. It's also just, there will come a point when I will have changed for you, and I won't be able to remain that way forever, right? And it's like, that's why I can't allow it, right? Because there are absolutely girls I know now that it's like, that I could conceivably see myself changing for them. Like, that I could see myself adapting and moving in sympathy to become what they wanted. And it's like, part of me would like to do that. Part of me would like to let go. But at the same time, I just know if I did, it would not end well, because there comes a point when it's, you know, it's like, yeah, you can decide to ignore the machinery of rationality for so long, but sooner or later it's gonna kick back into gear and it's gonna say, "What the fuck you doing, boy?" And so yeah, that's why I have to kind of keep everybody at a distance. I can't let hype overwhelm me. I can't let, oh, these are the classics, so I have to do it. I can't ever do things just because someone I know and like says I should try them. I can't ever let myself be so guided by other people. I have to do things for myself, and it's not arrogance. It's not selfishness. It's not greed. I have to have this core of individual agency and choice, because if I don't, then this whole other turn of events gets going and it doesn't end well. Like, it doesn't end well for me, and it's not going to end well for you. So I have to stay back. I have to stay distanced. I have to not change too much. I have to keep to myself. I have to keep being myself. I have to keep reminding myself, and that's kind of why I do, you know, the fan fiction. That's why I do the fan vids and the music and the stuff like that. Is it's reminding myself who I am, you know, and that's why I do the blogs and the fiction and the videos. Is I need, no, it's, I've said that I've said, you know, now that, you know, I will change myself for other people. Well, when I am writing for, when I am writing a blog, when I am writing fiction, when I am doing a video like this, I am doing the act of myself without another person there. Right? And it's, you know, I used to call it, you know, screaming into the void. Obviously, I'm not screaming into the void now. I'm screaming into hell. I'm screaming into where all the Nazis are. But at the same time, you know, fundamentally, I am recording these videos by myself to nothing. I am putting on an act for an audience of no one. An audience of me. I am literally looking at myself on the screen as I record this video, and it's like I am reminding myself who I am by feeding back on myself, right? In the sense that I will adapt to change who I am to other people, but I am always this cold, rational, reactive me at my core. And so when I start to lose myself, when I start to feel myself changing for other people, it is good for me to make something creative to try to express myself when there is only me as an audience, because then I am changing to suit me. I am making something for me. I am turning myself into a parody of myself for myself, and it is yeah, it's that moment from the 11th hour where when the doctor says, well done, prisoner zero. You have you have pulled off a perfect impression of yourself. And it's like, I need to do that on a regular basis to kind of avoid losing touch with who I am. And I suppose also this is why I can get confused at times and say things that are kind of insensitive. Because, like, yeah, there is an element to where, I write all this fiction about, these very particular kinds of women. And there is an element to where, it's obviously, fetish, it's obviously, being a man being told, this is the other, blah, 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 blah. And that is what it is. It is that I am a cisgendered, bisexual guy who has gotten all these complex reasons for wanting to see women in this way, but there is definitely an element, a kind of, I suppose, like an idea in the great soup of ideas that is my consciousness, that is like, well, maybe the reason I keep writing all these kinds of women is because they do represent a facet of myself. Because it's not the case, but I could very easily write, some grand metatextual narrative about how I keep idealizing this very particular kind of woman because there is a part of me that is that very particular kind of, woman or presentation. And it can be quite a seductive idea at times. But that's kind of, just one way in which my brain can kind of go off in all these different directions, and I have to kind of recenter myself and go, no, that's not the case. It's like at times I convince myself I'm actually a conservative. It's just that I'm the conservative who wants to save capitalism, damn it, and so we need Jeremy Corbyn. Reading Owen Jones and Paul Mason talking about the Battle of Orgreave and being like, yeah, Thatcher, you smashed them, yeah! And then being like, no, hang on. This is how neoliberalism killed capitalism. Yeah, this isn't good. And I've talked before about I've had days I've had my misspent youth as an anti-feminist, and I have spoken before about how I can see the appeal of fascism, and how I very nearly almost wrote a blog essentially advocating for a kind of revolution that pulled its punches to kind of scare neoliberalism into waking the fuck up and protecting itself, right? So my brain absolutely can kind of, at times, risk going off in all these wildly different and insane directions, and so that's why I have to be like, no, No, fucker, no! This is what you are. Don't get lost now. Don't get lost in ideas that seem strange enough that you maybe want to entertain me. And I suppose the thing is, because we do still live in such a cisgendered heterosexual culture, right? You know, call it rape culture, call it patriarchy, call it, you know, the world's the white man. But yeah, heteronormativity, whatever. We do still live in this world that, you know, we're still having debates over the fact that, you know, people should have health care. We're still having debates on the fact that black kids shouldn't be shot on suspicion of stealing chocolate bars, right? The fact that there was a black policeman who was shot dead by a white policeman because he just saw a black guy on the ground and another policeman standing nearby, and he was just like, oh, this black man's getting up. And it's just, we're still dealing with this, right? We're still in this kind of fucked up world, and it's like, I am a man. I am absolutely 100% you know, a cisgendered, you know, red-blooded man, but it's like, if we lived in the grand culture of Ian M. Banks' world, where it was like, yeah, you know, you get the upgrades, you know, you take the pills, you let the little nanobots go into the system, you know, and it's like, fuck it, you can, you know, be a pretty, you know, you can be a certain kind of, you know, gender on a Tuesday and then a different kind of gender on a different day, then absolutely, I would probably spend, you know, one day a week as a, you know, a pretty blonde girl, because fuck it, why not, hey? In, you know, in the glorious 23rd century, when we have nanobots and, you know, you can get sort of super SRS on a whim that's, you know, totally, you know, undoable. Well, not undoable, but, you know, you can have it changed on a whim. There are no consequences. You know, it's like, you know, even if you get pregnant as a woman, you can, you know, have the embryo stored in your body when you become a man, ready to, you know, give birth. Even if you change into a woman, you know, years, decades, centuries later. If we lived in that kind of world, absolutely, I'd probably spend, you know, maybe one day a week as a woman, just, or at least once, you know. I'd probably skip the period days, you know, as you would probably. I think women, at least some women, if they had the choice to become a man during the period days, they probably would as well. just just skip the pain, just skip pain. But yeah, it's it is kind of strange living in a brain that's constantly considering and thinking all these different things. And it's like, wouldn't it be cool if? Wouldn't it be cool if? I could do this. But at the same time, having this cold rational core that's just like, no, this is who you are. This is what you do. This is what you stand for. And don't get lost. Because I can entertain these ideas, and, you know, I made a 50,000 word piece of fiction from something that was supposed to be one scene. Like, I can go very far with stupid ideas. But at my core, I'm always who I am. And it's just like, we live in a world where people are still so struggling to be accepting of anything different, you know. I mean, people were freaking out about me opening a door with my head, you know, pushing open the door with my head, going, "Oh my god, what the fuck's wrong with him?" It's just like, it's a push door. Why would I have to use my hand? It's a fucking push door, right? That's how the hinges work. You don't have to use your hand to push the door. But, you know, neurotypical people are so programmed by instinct and society and culture to kind of reject anything different that it's... Yeah, I mean, the irony is that, you know, probably what I've been saying here is actually, you know, seen as quite transphobic, because it's like, he's a cis guy saying he would experiment if he had the technology. And it's like, you know, trans people are definitely like in the kind of the worst situation at the moment, in the sense that, you know, us men talk about how modern society nowadays fucks upon us because, you know, we're not allowed to be strong and vulnerable and we're fucked over by the patriarchy, but also feminism fucks over us. Like, trans people are fucked every which fucking way, right? In the sense that trans people are not just, you know, they're not just, you know, cis guys like me who think it'd be cool if the technology existed. Trans people are people who are legit born into the wrong bodies and are freaking the fuck out because we live in a society that still has all this cultural baggage around gender, right? And it's like, you know, when I was a boy growing up, I just sort of imagined, I just sort of assumed, oh, well, women, they must have their own section of the cinema and their own section of the TV schedule that is all just female leads and passive men, because that must be how this works, right? Like, yeah, you know, men fantasize about, you know, women being these, you know, passive sex objects, but women must do that as well, and they must have their own fiction and cater to it. But no, the world is catered towards men in this very specific way. And so basically, if you are a trans person and, you know, you are born into the wrong sexual presentation, then it fucks you up, because society, right? Trans people have to deal with sexism, misogyny, misandry. You know, they have to deal with the fact that, you know, feminists hate them, misogynists hate them, transphobic people hate them, and lawmakers are discriminating against them. They can't even go to the loo in public places. Like, trans people are genuinely, utterly fucked over by society, by pretty much every single demographic. Like, you know, even the LGBTQ movement is like, well, you know, if they're straight, men, well, then what the fuck are they doing in the trans movement? It's like, yeah, they're trans men. They're getting fucked over by the cisgendered heterosexual men as well. And it's like, you know, feminism is all about, you know, yeah, female empowerment. You can be whatever you want to be, but if a trans woman does not present overtly feminine characteristics, then feminists will, you know, and, well, you know, supposed feminists, you know, will will call them out and have a go at them, because, you know, it's all well and good for cisgendered women to not identify by these strict bullshit gender roles, but if you're a trans woman, well, you've gotta. And similarly, you know, like, trans men are fucked over every which fucking way, because you know, yeah, you've got the, you know, the TERFs, the trans exclusive radical feminists, but you also have the you know, the group they are supposedly, you know, a part of, you know, that they identify with, you know, the men. The men are generally a bunch of, you know, slightly transphobic dickheads anyway. And again, it's the whole thing of, like, you know, presentation. Like, at least, well, no, women have it, trans women have this problem as well. It's like, you know, like, we're constantly being told, oh, it's okay, you don't have to present in a certain way. You don't have to abide by the gender roles. You can be who you are. And at the same time, it's like, we're attacking men for appealing to this hyper masculinity, and we're attacking women for appealing to this hyper femininity. And the trans men and trans women are kind of fucked at every point along the spectrum of, just like, if they happen to choose to identify at one end of, you know, like, hyper masculinity as a trans man, then they're going to get shit for it. If they choose to be, you know, more feminine and not be, and be trans men, but, you know, like, nerdy trans men who are in touch with their feminine side, because, like, that's the thing. Cisgendered men are in touch with their feminine side, so why the fuck aren't trans men allowed to be? And it's like, you can, you know, there are trans women who are butch lesbians. Like, that's a thing. People are people. They will be at all the different kinds of points and spectrums along the way that people can be. But, you know, while we are becoming better at being progressive in a lot of ways, that progressive movement hates upon trans people in ways that's not good. And don't get me wrong, like, absolutely, you know, there is a part of the, you know, LGBTQA plus movement, there is a part of the, you know, the feminist movement that is absolutely all about, yes, we must support trans people, but that doesn't change the fact that if you're a trans person, you are living, things are tough, and it's shitty, and we need to stop being shitty to trans people. That rant, that that went somewhere I didn't necessarily need it to go. It's like, yes, let me talk to you about autism. Then turns into a rant about how trans people are discriminated against. But, you know, I suppose the point is that it's we're still a very discriminatory race as a people. The human race is very fucked up, and we have a long way to go. And, like, it is better for men, it is better for women, it is better for autistic people if we can become more accepting of people in general, right? And yeah, sometimes autistic people are going to do things that seem strange to you. Sometimes you're not going to see the logic. And I've done this. I freak out at times, going like, I don't see this, I don't understand the logic. And you've just kind of got to accept it. You've just kind of got to accept, you know, they're fine, they're safe, they're okay. Just let them be who they are. And we've got a long way to go. We have got a very, very long fucking way to go. And until we do enter this, you know, grand utopia of acceptance, I have to keep myself distance. I have to keep molding myself to the people I'm with, but also keep myself distanced enough that I don't let myself get molded too much. I have to keep reminding myself of who I am and of who I'm not. Because otherwise I can convince myself I am one thing when I'm not. And that can cause problems. And, you know, roll on glorious post-scarcity culture utopia, right? But until then, just kind of fucked. Anyway, yeah. I have been Alexander Gordon Johansson. You have been very welcome. And yeah, this is gonna have a lot of, you know what, I'm not even gonna allow comments on this video because thank you for watching my main channel. Please remember to leave a like, favourite and comment. Shout out to the dislike club. Subscribe if you like what you saw, and share if you know someone who might be interested in the contents of this video. If you would like to help ensure more videos get made, there are a few options available to you. You can whitelist this channel in your adblock software to ensure what ad revenue you provide has a chance of making its way to me. If you sign up to make a regular monthly donation through my Patreon, then you will get to watch a selection of videos available exclusively to my Patreon supporters over at my Patreon page. One-off donations are payable through PayPal, or if that doesn't suit your sensibilities, you can gift items through Steam or Amazon via my public wish lists. Obviously, I don't expect anything, and the vast majority of my videos will remain free and ad-supported. All that remains is to say Trump should be impeached, the genocidal must be stopped, and institute universal basic income now.